Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Tanks, where today you're getting 2 for 1. 2 battles, both on the Ruinberg map. 2 battles that, despite being on the same map, couldn't be more different if they tried. The first battle, courtesy of, well look, his name's LVT Brewer, but he has a confession to make. When he was setting up the account, he made a typo. It was supposed to be Private Brewer, but when he went to fix the error and changed the name, when he saw how much Wargaming were charging for a simple name change, he thought, yeah, actually I'm good. I'm fine, I can live with it. But I'm going to call him Private Brewer because that's what he intended. So, Private Brewer, in the this is a weird looking thing. The Swedish Tier 7 tank destroyer, the IKV-90B, which of course everybody just calls the IKEA 90, and hopefully I don't have to explain that one to you. This battle almost didn't get featured, and you are going to be watching an edited version of it. Mostly because, well, he's in a very, very lightly armoured and stealthy tank destroyer. And if you're playing one of these things properly, I mean, I get all kinds of results sent in by very, very stealthy and thinly armoured tank destroyers, where the player involved does extremely well. And of course, Private Brewster is also going to do extremely well, but a lot of the time, in order to do extremely well in a machine like this, you basically have to hide in a bush and spend the entire game shooting at targets that other people are spotting for you. And that works, it's the way you're supposed to play these things, but it's really boring to watch. And I'm not going to lie to you, this was one of those battles. Don't worry, I'm going to trim all the boring bits out. The problem is that when you trim all the boring bits out of this particular replay, you end up with a 6-minute long battle. So why are we watching this? Even if you are going to trim all the boring bits out, which you can do anytime you like, by the way, Jingles, you know, in your own time, but what's the point? The point is because the ending of this battle is hilarious. So you can see my dilemma. I had a battle that is absolutely worth watching, but in order to get to the good bits, you have to sit through all the dull bits. Not because the player is doing anything wrong, but because he's in a very stealthy, very thinly armoured tank destroyer, and this is how you play very stealthy, very thinly armoured tank destroyers. So in order to make it worth watching on YouTube, I'd have to cut most of the battle out, all of the boring bits, and that would leave me with a 5 or 6 minute long video, and I'm not doing that. Well, I'm not doing that again. Fortunately, however, the very next day, I got another replay on the exact same map, and it was also very short, but it wasn't short because all the boring bits had been cut out. There were no boring bits to cut out. It was quite simply one of the most brutally aggressive and quick battles I have ever seen on Ruinberg. But still, it was only 5 or 6 minutes long. Hang on a minute. If I put them both together... and so that's why you're watching today's video. First, however, and again, no criticism of Private Brewer here, he's just doing what you do in this kind of machine under these kind of circumstances, but I'm going to have to start trimming out all the boring bits so we can get to the interesting bits. Although, hopefully, the more observant among you will have noticed that I have, in fact, already been doing that as Private Brewer in the IKEA 90 and the T67 over there advance across this open field after having lost more than half of their team as casualties, but successfully prevented the enemy team from seizing control of this central east-west road in the middle of the Ruinberg map, and now they're moving up to consolidate it. And this is something that hopefully you'll take away from both this and the following battle. Control of this road is key, regardless of which battle mode you're playing, random battle, encounter, assault. Whoever controls this road is probably going to win. Well, they're not guaranteed to win, no Akazuki, but, well, that. Not only do you completely control the entire eastern half of the map, but you've also got shots right down to the heart of the map on the western side as well. No, it's fine, don't worry, it wasn't a stupid question. It was a perfectly valid question. The problem, of course, is getting it done in enough time to actually be able to exploit that advantage. That and having enough tanks left on your team who can exploit that advantage and know how to exploit and when to exploit that advantage. And that, of course, is the problem, isn't it? That's the trick. Knowing what to do and when to do it. Which is why it's important to take this road, but it doesn't guarantee a win. No, you're welcome. Thank you for the question. Private Brewer's problem now, of course, is that there's nothing left to dominate up here. Or at least he hopes there's nothing left to dominate up here because they're going to have to move. And that involves crossing this open ground. And he's got no armour, but he does have all of his health. This was risky because at the point where he made the decision to move, he did not know where that Hellcat was, but the Hellcat has now been spotted backing up the enemy T1 Heavy against the friendly T1 Heavy. which should mean he's got a clean run at the enemy artillery, and he has. So there's a couple of kills coming up here. And yes, you take out the first, because that thing can fire probably as fast as you can. And did. And it's damaged his fuel tank. Come on, get the M44 as well. Or somebody get the M44. And I believe that's a Vespucci's medal for 2 artillery kills. So that's good. The bad news, of course, is that he's the only... Well, he's not even the only actual tank left on his team. He's a tank destroyer with 2 artillery, and the enemy still have a Hellcat and a T1 Heavy. Now, the T1 Heavy doesn't have a lot of health. The reason he's heading back, of course, is because he's expecting the enemy team to make a push on his cap circle. It's a reasonable assumption to make, and the SU-8 has already gotten the hell out of there. The Griller, however, has not. Although, if you look at the spot the Griller's in, and yes, he has seen the T1 Heavy, but if you look at the spot that the Griller's in, I mean, he's kind of pinned into a corner there. He didn't want to go to the cap circle because that would be heading straight to where everybody was assuming the enemy team were going to be going, and yes, Private Brewer, you did fluff the shot there and get spotted, but you've got plenty of health, as long as the Hellcat doesn't get involved. Meanwhile, the Griller, again, he's taken an awful chance. I mean, he's assuming that the Hellcat has gone to back up the T1 Heavy, which again is a reasonable assumption to make, and he's heading in an extremely risky direction due south, right to where that Hellcat was last spotted. Meanwhile, Private Brewer, understanding that as far as the enemy team are concerned, he is definitely the biggest threat, and he's spotted, and his spider sense starts tingling. Yep, the Hellcat. Hadn't seen him in a while. Only natural that the Hellcat was going to come to the defence of the T1 Heavy and taking out the single biggest threat remaining on Private Brewer's team. The Hellcat shot took out his commander. He wasted no time in using the medkit there because, well, it's not just going to affect his view range, but the commander gives a bonus to all of the other crew members as well. And he's going to need them all fighting at peak efficiency while he takes out that T1 Heavy. He does still have a damaged fuel tank as he hides up here just in case the T1 Heavy saw him, ensuring that the Hellcat can't finish him off. And that damaged fuel tank will be an issue, but he's probably... Oh, there's the Hellcat. I think the SU-8 actually managed to get a successful shot off there, but couldn't kill him. So, they're going to lose the SU-8 here. Absolutely guaranteed. But he's going to get some shots into the Hellcat. Of course, the Hellcat isn't stupid. He knows he needs to break line of sight before Private Brewer reloads and finishes him off, because the Hellcat is now a one-shot kill. Private Brewer is not, but he does have that damaged fuel tank. And the reason he's probably not used the repair kit on the fuel tank yet is because, well, 1, he's got a fire extinguisher in case he gets set on fire, and 2, he's probably going to get more value out of the repair kit to get his tracks back up if he gets immobilised, closing the distance on the Hellcat, pulling moves like that, because you don't want to get immobilised in the open when you've got armour as bad as this. Meanwhile, the Griller. Oh, and he's gotten spotted. And this is why you're saving the repair kit. But the Griller is capping, which is almost certainly why the Hellcat might have seen him coming, but didn't have the gun pointing the right... Ooh, he does now, though. So the Griller was capping, the Hellcat was reacting to that. The Hellcat got the shot off, Private Brewer didn't. They're now both one-shot kills for each other. And here's the Hellcat's problem. The Griller is capping, and is going to win if the Hellcat doesn't do anything about it. But the Griller knows exactly where the Hellcat is, thanks to Private Brewer here, who is going to keep him spotted. You just have to be within 50 metres and you will always know where he is. And that Griller will have his gun pointing this way, and the Hellcat cannot afford to take another hit. But the Hellcat knows this too, so there it is. He teased the shot out of the Griller. Private Brewer knows he cannot let the Hellcat get a return shot off and reset. Comes around to shut him down. They're both one-shot kills for each other. Whoever pokes around the corner first is going to die. So he's buying the Griller time to reload and cover the other side. And the Hellcat is equally desperately trying to get a shot off. But the two of them are keeping him shut down, so he cannot do it, and the Griller wins by capping, and here's the funny part. Watch this. Da-da-da-da-da. You want to shoot me? You can't, the match has ended. So much disrespect for that poor Hellcat. The thing is, though, I mean, aside from that gangster level of lack of respect shown to the Hellcat at the end of that battle, that was also Private Brewer's first ever Radley Walters medal. So bloody well done to him. And oh, look at that. We're actually gone over 10 minutes. I could have made a single video out of this battle after all, but what the hell, I've promised you to. So here's the other one. Are you ready? Strap yourselves in, because this one's going to be quick and brutal. Long-time viewers and the more observant amongst you may have already noticed that this is none other than a Ruinberg 78 and is in a light tank, so you already know this is going to be good. I actually didn't notice until halfway through the battle. Being completely honest here, I was thinking, wow, this guy's really good. I wonder... Oh, it is a Ruinberg 78. That explains everything. You may have also noticed that even before the battle started, he was telling his team exactly what I was saying in the previous battle. Take that road along the E6 line. Or at the very least, stop the enemy from taking it. Because if you don't, you're going to have an uphill battle. Because, you know, it's on the top of a... Note to self, never make that joke again. And I did say he was going to be aggressive. To be fair though, he's in a very, very good tank for it. I mean, there's not much cover here, but he's got a very low profile machine, the T100LT. Unlike the Object 140 over there that he's platooned up with, who, I mean, he got the TVP, but he lost almost all of his health doing it. What you're going to see Ruinberg doing is even more ballsy though. I mean, it's going to look suicidal, but it's actually not. If you have a look down to the western end of the map, he doesn't have to worry about being spotted from down there because his team control that end. And he's not just using the bushes on his side of the road here, which is what you normally see people doing here, and which is what the enemy scouts are doing. But he's using the bushes on the enemy side of the road to get even more spots off. Quite frankly, I don't know how you fit balls that big inside such a small tank. Meanwhile, the enemy T100LT is being even more aggressive. The difference is, he's gotten spotted. Although, to be fair, he does appear to be getting away with it. Anyway, knowing that the enemy scout is over there, Ruinberg's going to be even more aggressive. Look at this. You've got to feel a certain amount of sympathy for the enemy tanks over here. I mean, that T-57 heavy. How the hell am I being spotted? What's going on here? Did Wargaming just introduce drones? Am I playing Call of Duty all of a sudden? AMX-30 just took a big old smack. Here comes the T-57 heavy again. He will learn. The hard way or the easy way, but one way or another he's going to learn. Or maybe he won't. Screw him, he's on the enemy team. Let's hope he doesn't. Is he going to get the... Yes, he did get the AMX-30. He did, of course, however, also get spotted. That's fine. No problem. The trick, of course, is to not panic. Know your limitations, but also know your capabilities. And the capabilities and limitations of the enemies like the S-Tank there. Now, the S-Tank, of course, is a very, very dangerous machine. It can shoot really well, or it can move really well, but it cannot do both at the same time. And he's dead too. And here comes the enemy T100LT. To be fair to the enemy light tank, he knows that Ruinberg's in a very dangerous position and needs to die, but he's chosen to fight him in a position where Ruinberg has made sure that he can't get any support from the rest of his team. He dodges out of the way of the T-57 Heavy, who does manage to get one round of gold ammo off, which bounces, blows the tracks off the Lion, leaving the Lion in a very precarious situation, immobilised on an open road right in front of a Japanese Tier 10 tank destroyer. The Lion is dead, and I'm pretty sure that now just leaves the T-57 Heavy. And with 470 health remaining, the T-57 probably can't one-shot him, but hey, why take the chance? I mean, he can't one-shot the T-57 Heavy either, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to do exactly what worked so well in the first half of the battle and use the bushes on the enemy side of the road to ensure that he stays spotted and wait for backup, which is arriving. In the meantime, oh, enemy artillery spotted. Well, fair enough. We'll finish this guy off. The T-57 Heavy has run out of friends. It's actually the Leopard who gets the kill. Okay, are you ready? You look ready. Alright, let's go for it. The Leopard 1's taken the lead. He's got the health. He doesn't have the armour, but he can afford to take a hit. And he does. And there goes the T-57 Heavy. Does the polite thing and thanks his teammates, because they deserve it. And got spotted, of course, but if there were any enemies lurking around this end of the map, as there absolutely were in the last battle, they're not anymore, because the Leopard 1 would have been filled full of holes by now, and he wasn't, so this is perfectly safe. Now, traditional wisdom would have it that you can cap or you can kill, but traditional wisdom is bollocks. There's absolutely no reason why you can't do both. So we'll just knock over those trucks to give us a clear line of sight, park up behind this tiny little bush here. It's small, but it's good enough. And with a 6-kill lead, I mean, the enemy team have just pulled a kill back. There's nothing wrong with going for the kill, but keep those cap points in your back pocket until you know you don't need them anymore, because we've seen results like this go south in far more spectacular fashion. Of course, it's extremely unlikely to happen here. The enemy team are, of course, caught in the crossfire. They're getting smacked from both directions. But you stay in the cap circle until you know you don't need the capture points, while ensuring that you're not penalising your team by doing so, because if your team needs your firepower and you're sitting in the cap circle, it's not unusual to find yourself the last one left alive on your team with a whole bunch of enemy tanks heading in your direction. At the same time though, it's only polite to leave the capture circle in order to ensure that both you and any other members of your team who want to farm any more damage can before the match is brought to a premature conclusion. And with one tank left alive on the enemy team, that's exactly what he's doing. I did tell you it was going to be short, brutal and extremely aggressively violent, and I hope you'll all agree that you haven't been disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Aurorix78, doing what he does best, making everybody else look bad by doing stuff that would get us killed in seconds in light tanks. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.